Okay, so now we've got your dream clients coming in. The next piece of the puzzle is how do we deliver our service in a way that doesn't burn us out, mean that we have to hire an army as a team, or dilute our services. And this is part 3 of a 6-part series. If you've not watched the first 2 videos on the broken business model that's holding you back and how to attract your dream clients, I definitely recommend going checking those videos out before this one. But let's assume that you have. We now have a different challenge around how do we deliver our service. So there are 3 core ways we can do that. One of them is very high touch one-to-one, which is the way I scaled my last business. And I'm going to talk about exactly what that means as you grow, the pros and the cons. Then we've got the group model. Now I know this one personally because I've invested in a bunch of masterminds, spent tens of thousands of dollars and been part of these group coaching programs. And then the last one is what we're actually using to deliver our service, which is something that wasn't around 5 years ago, definitely. It wasn't even around 18 months ago. It's a very exciting way of being leveraged with our delivery, but very personalized as well. So I'm excited to share that with you. We'll go through each 3 and talk about the pros and cons. Let's get into it. Now, before we get into 3 models, I just want to run through a very, very quick diagram every single online business owner should be thinking about when we actually design our service. And that is, our job is to take someone from point A to point B. We want to give them a transformation. We want to make sure they become a great case study. We want to make sure that they refer people, and either they leave with a smile on their face or we retain them to the next phase. And how we actually deliver our service is entirely up to us what mechanism we use. So we're going to run through the 3 different ways to do that. But let's not forget, the goal of this is to get the best transformations, to organize getting the best case studies so that people refer others, and there is a solid retention element to it. The second part to that is for us, we want to make sure that we're doing things that enable us to deliver this in the most scalable way possible, so that we can make sure that we're living the life that we want to live, we're running the business we want to run, and we're doing it in a way that's fun. And as we'll come on to with the 3rd model we talk through, we're leveraging on the best available tech that we have. So now that we know that, let's talk about 3 models. One-to-one, bespoke, delivery. Now this actually stems from being in person, sitting down with someone face to face, spending time with them and helping them get from point A to point B. We've now taken that relationship online. So the next logical step is to take the same formula and just do it in an online version. So that usually equates to a lot of hand holding, a lot of calls, a lot of touch points, a lot of manual processes, and effectively, it's often the way that we start as an online business owner. And it's actually the best way to start because we learn, we get feedback, we really understand what it's like to work with clients and get the best results. But once we know that, if we keep that model and we start to build that out, very quickly, our diary gets full of client time and we hit a cap on how many people we can service. Now, that's one part of it. Another part is that for the client themselves, one of the things that I've observed, because I built this model for the last 5 years, and as I've mentioned, worked with over 1,000 clients. And one of the things that I noticed was that the more time we spent with each client, whether it was on Zoom calls, whether it was on constant WhatsApps, video calls, whatever it was, the more time we spent with them, the more dependent on us they became. So they weren't learning as fast, they weren't picking things up as fast, they were basically waiting for us to tell them what to do. And that creates a sense of dependency that you would think leads to really, really long-term retention. And in actuality, it doesn't, because the results that clients can get, they will get much quicker results if they learn how to think for themselves and they learn how to do things themselves. We did it at my last business, Fortis, and when we hit the ceiling of how many clients that I could personally work with, we had to make a decision, and either we could move to a group coaching model, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, or you effectively have to hire success coaches. You have to hire people to come into the team and start to deliver this service. If you want to keep that level of detail, that level of time with each client, you must hire more people into the team. Now, that is an entirely different business now that you're building. And sometimes it works. And we had some amazing success coaches who actually stayed with us all the way through. And then sometimes it doesn't work and they don't do a good job. And that makes retention difficult. It makes client relationships difficult. And then when they leave, they've got personal relationships with a bunch of clients, and that's difficult. I was actually just chatting to a coach that I know really, who's just had one of his best success coaches walk out and leave and start their own business and run the risk of taking half of their clients with them. And this is commonplace in the online business space. So there are a lot of risks involved in that, and there's a lot of hard work to make sure you find the right people, you train them in the right way, and they deliver the service in the way that you want to deliver it. And for us, I think we had 8 success coaches. So we were working with a couple of hundred clients actively at any given time. And honestly, the impacts for me as a business owner was super hard because I had to monitor all the calls that was happening. I had to do all of the coaching. I had to look in on everything. My days went from being on calls with clients to now watching coaches, training coaches, watching coaches on calls with clients. And my day just got stacked full of calls, internal training calls, and then also fires that were constantly going out. This coach isn't having a great time, they're not learning as quickly, and so on and so forth. So that's the direction of travel when you have one-to-one bespoke. Now, for the client themselves, they feel like they're getting a really nice hands-on service. But like I said, there are pros and cons to that model. In my own personal experience, having scaled that business, it's hard work. It's incredibly hard work. And the last thing I'll say before moving on to group is that one of the things we get into business for is to have freedom, to have flexibility, to get great results for clients, and ultimately to make money. That is a big part of why we do what we do. Otherwise, we would go and get a job that was really fulfilling, right? We're in entrepreneurship because we want to make money. When you start hiring team members, and you have to pre-hire team members because you need to hire them, train them, get them up to speed before they're ready to go. So the cost involved eat into your margins, and you just don't make anywhere near as much money as a founder when you have a big team delivering the service. So that's one-to-one when you start. Always recommend it to start with, but then really think about, do I want to scale this delivery mechanism? The alternative was 2 other options. One was sell digital courses and programs, which we didn't want to go down. We enjoyed the coaching and the live interaction with clients. So group coaching was the natural other option. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I've invested tens of thousands of dollars with some of the best educators in the online business space, and all of them operate a group coaching model. And I have to be honest, every single time, despite how much I respected the educator, despite how many results people were seemingly getting, every time I joined one of these group coaching programs, I felt a little bit lost. Nothing was really personalized. You could spend weeks just drifting around, not really getting anything done. There was very little in the way of accountability. I didn't feel like I was being truly held. I didn't feel the connection with the person running the program. And these were really expensive programs. So for me personally, being in them, I found it very difficult to navigate. And then when I communicated with lots of other people in similar programs, they all had the same feedback. If you know exactly what you need to do, then they're great because the resources are there. There's typically a massive training library, there's a massive portal, loads of educational content, weekly group calls. So if you know exactly what you need to do, great. If you don't, and you need support, you need guidance, maybe things in your business are a little bit different to other people's businesses, maybe what you're doing is more unique and more bespoke, then all of a sudden the format doesn't fit and you kind of feel a little bit frustrated. And in my view, it dilutes the service that is being offered, because no doubt there's amazing content, but it just doesn't land with every single person. These decisions are made because a creator or an educator gets to a certain point and they choose scale over keeping the hands-on one-to-one side. And I don't blame them for that, but the downside is that it does dilute the service and less people get great results. What happens there is you look for your outliers, the cream of the crop, the best results you get, and you use them in your case studies. Now, I didn't want to do that for our business, and I wouldn't recommend it. If you want to really make sure that people get results, I think pure group is a challenging way to do it. Okay, and then there's model 3. I'm so excited about this one because this wasn't available a year ago, 2 years ago, certainly not 5 years ago when I started my last business. I wish it was. And this is the leveraged delivery. And we've got 4 key layers to this delivery mechanism. The first is assets. So we want to be teaching a methodology that gets our clients from A to B, whether it's losing weight, whether it's getting their dream job, whether it's starting their own business, whether it's hitting a revenue milestone, whether it's growing their social media following, whatever the goal is, we know how to get there. And what we want to do is we want to create a personalized program and roadmap for each client we onboard, using all of our knowledge, all of our brain, all of our experience that we put into whether it's Claude or ChatGPT, and using our onboarding process, we can give the client a completely bespoke plan that's designed around them and their goals. That's never been possible before. The second layer is around community. It's so important that we foster a sense of community with people who are striving to get into the same result. And one of the things that happens in group coaching is that there's a lot of people that you've never met before, and the group calls, it's usually one person just hogging the stage, complaining about something that's got no relevance to you, and they don't have a typical high show-up rate, and. So what we want to do is we want to use our community gatherings, our group sessions, to teach based on the input and the data we can see from people's businesses, what's working, what's not working, and we want to show people different ways of doing things that are working in other industries, things that are working in our industry, and we use those sessions to teach and bring the community together. Having an in-person element, if you can, is like next level. That's amazing. But effectively fostering that sense of community and people sharing wins, people sharing challenges, it's a really important part. Then we've got the layer that wasn't available before, and this is the AI layer. And we're going to use it to create our individual program. We're going to use it to take data from our clients' businesses or our clients' programs or our clients, whatever it is that we're working on, we're going to take data from our clients and we're going to use that to give them advice on what it is that they need to do next. But we don't need to do that ourselves by sitting and thinking and observing data, because we're going to train a brain in Claude or ChatGPT that's got all of our knowledge and experience. We're going to absorb the data. It's going to come up with what we should be doing. And then as a human to a human, we can have that touch point and talk to our clients on what they need to do, what they need to change. And that proactiveness based on their business is something that's never been possible before. There's no way we could have ever had eyes on our clients in a way that we can now with AI and the data that we can collect. And this is just the beginning of the AI revolution. The other thing that we can do that sort of leans from this is we can create our own chatbot inside our program that is basically us. So mine will be Dan AI. And effectively, if a client has a question or a challenge and it's 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, not sure why they would have a question on 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, but hey, I'm not judging. They can ask the chatbot, that's going to get a really good answer. And if they really need to, they can say, oh, can I have a chat with you, Dan? This is going to give people quick answers, quick strategies based on your experience, your knowledge, and the way that you deliver things. And this is not outsourcing the human element. It's absolutely not. It's allowing people to move much faster. And the human element, we want to keep in there because we want them to feel like they know you. They want them to feel like they're being looked after. They want them, we want to make sure they've got a bond with you. It's so important. This is the fourth level, is the human touch. And we decide how we do that. But in my experience and in my recommendation, the moments that matter, so when someone has a win, when someone has a hurdle or a challenge, when they have a birthday, there are things that happen in every single week in a client's world. We can choose to then reach out and have a conversation, be proactive, be human, and keep that contact. And that is going to be the power. And this way of doing things will allow us to work with maybe at least double, if not triple, maybe even quadruple the number of clients we could when it was the old-fashioned one-to-one manual bespoke version. Now, you can't scale this to 10,000 clients for sure. You will need support, but you can do a lot more with a lot less and actually get people faster results. In my view, this changes the game on how we scale our businesses moving forwards, and I'm so excited about it. By the time you watch this video, we'll have probably tweaked and changed and iterated, and that's the whole point. This is moving so fast, but it's so exciting. So we use AI to leverage ourselves, and then we can spend the time coaching, training, teaching our clients what they need to do, and having that human connection is the perfect relationship. That's the delivery unlock. Now, we've talked about attracting your dream clients. How we do that in the background without the need for sales calls or DM hustling is a whole other level of how we view marketing. And we call that the content trifecta, where we blend together short form, long form, and email in a way that gets leads into your orbit, gets them whizzing around your planet so that they learn more about you, they understand what you're all about, the results that you get, your values, and get them to a point where they're ready to say yes without needing a sales call. And I'm gonna run through that exact system on the next video. So I'll see you there. So see you in video 4.